Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Random Hour. As always, I am your co-host Devin Moore, and with me to my right is your host of the show, Kyle Crump, and to the left of me we have a special guest with us today, Moon Whimsy, and I'm going to give her the floor today to introduce herself. So, Whimsy, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Moon Whimsy. I am a primarily cosplayer, big time nerd on TikTok and Instagram. I do lots of crafts, lots of nerd topics, lots of books, and lots of cosplay, mostly Star Wars characters. So, hi.
Okay. So we are Nerds and Sundries podcast. Other than Star Wars, what are some things you nerd out about?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I love Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Big Marvel
Mm.
fan. And I loved so that's my other nerdy niche thing. So lots of that's goes into the cosplay. Big D&D player. I used to be a huge World of Warcraft player and was like hardcore, like far too many hours of the day. That's actually how I met my husband playing World of Warcraft. and, yeah, I do love crafting. So like, I've got a 3D printer, I've got an embroidery machine, and like all sorts of things like that are kind of my nerd interests. And books, lots of books.
Wait,
So, my question is, hold up, you weren't playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
No,
Devin, that's too niche of a joke.
you know what? Okay, when I went to BlizzCon, they actually gave us the beta version of that game way back in the day. And so I played it in the beta, but I never actually played the real one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't speaking of 3D printer, what have you printed? What have you printed off in your 3D printer?
So I have two. I have a resin printer and then I have a filament printer. My resin printer, we've been doing lots of D&D miniatures, tons
Mm.
of those, because it's really good for the little detail stuff. And my filament printer is a free one a coworker gave me that was like super old they got rid of. So I spent most of the fall 3D printing like little dragons for the kids and lots of little tiny props because it's a small one. I did manage to print the chest piece for my Mando armor, but I haven't put it together yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our second question here is, what got you into Star Wars?
So I'm in my 40s, so Star Wars was kind of a big deal in the 80s when I was a child. So that's what got me into it. I grew up with my family. We were watching reruns on TV. We had the VHS. Return of the Jedi was coming out when I was a kid, so I grew up playing with the Return of the Jedi toys, and so it just was a thing that was interesting to me that I my family loved, so I started to love, and then I just grew up with. And so I lived through that long period of time where we didn't really have any new Star Wars. So I read a lot of the what are now Legends books, and
Mm.
when the 1997 digitally remastered ones came out, we all went to see them in the theater. Bought those also on VHS because that's what we were doing. I didn't have a DVD player at the time, and yeah, and then the Phantom Menace came out, and we had a great time camping out for opening night tickets. The huge group of us, all my friends were really into Star Wars, and went out to opening night of it. And I know now that everybody like talks about how many hated on it, and they eventually did. But in that moment, in the theater, everybody was so into it. Like people were like clapping and cheering, like it was amazing energy. So yeah, so that's childhood on. That's what life. I love Star Wars. It just is part of life.
Okay. So, on your TikTok, you collect a lot of like Star Wars merchandise, and you talk about that. What is the coolest Star Wars merchandise you have collected?
Oh my gosh. The coolest. I don't know if I could pick what is the coolest. I do love like I have a lot of like the stuff that came out when the Phantom Menace was released because I bought it at the time, like the Padme dolls and everything. But
Oh wow.
recently, I managed to get. I happened to be going into Ross for something else, and I was buying something, and the cashier was like, noticed my shirt, and was like, "Oh, you like Star Wars?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I haven't even put this on the floor yet." And he pulls out Princess Leia's Black Series lightsaber. He's like, "It's
Mm-hmm.
only $40." I'm like, "I will take it right now." Just take it and go.
Okay.
So So that is probably the coolest deal I think I've gotten. So
You
yeah, but no, I have lots of little things. So
Black Series lightsaber. Is that when the Legends edition, or the I call it the original sequels? Is that when she actually had a lightsaber? When her
I'm
and
trying
Luke
to.
were
I think it's when they're like. It's her like it's rose gold and silver. I can't remember. I think it's from like the training bit they put in the flashback or whatever. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. My wife got into Star Wars, like really got into it about 2 or 3 years ago. And she was like you. She's like, "Oh, where are these Star Wars Legends?" And she's like, "Are these even canon anymore?" I'm like, "No, they're a good read, but no."
Yeah, I grew up
Yeah.
reading those, and so
Yeah.
now I'm just like, I don't hate it, but I kind of wish they went back to the books.
What's pretty
Yeah.
cool is I've been hunting these down for one of my brothers. So George Lucas, when Star Wars was under
Your brother
Black,
is George Lucas?
oops, yes, Kyle, we've been friends for
Surprise.
10 years. I just want to tell you today, 10 years of friendship, that George Lucas is my brother. Yes,
Oh, okay.
I, yes, that was a secret. No, sorry. For my brother for Christmas, I've been doing research. So George Lucas, his original script for Star Wars, back when Star Wars was publishing under Dark Horse Comics, he took his original script and they made it a comic, and it's about 5 or 6 mini issues, and I found 1 through 3. Can't find 4, 5, or 6. But
So
that's like the neatest thing I found in my collection.
my husband is a comic book nerd and is older than me, so he saw the original Star Wars in the theater. So
Hmm.
he actually has a bunch of the original Star Wars comics, and we have one, and he has a big oversized one that's like in a plastic case over there somewhere. It's like
Yeah, grade
issue
it.
number 1 or 2 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Devin,
thought.
what did I bring Megan? Was it Vader's Castle?
Yeah, it was Vader's
Okay.
castle. Yeah,
Okay.
because she's been. We're trying to collect the 2018 run.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost completed, but it got popular. The sequels have made it popular,
Yeah.
but I know what you're talking about with your husband. I thought about surprising my dad with one of the originals, but I was like, oh,
Money.
$50.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm like, because we have boxes and boxes of comics from his childhood, and I'm like,
Hmm.
how much money are we sitting on, babe? Like, that's just sitting in my son's closet. He's like, one day we'll go through and we'll grade them and we'll rebook, board them and everything and look at them and stuff. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
because
but
he's
I've
always like,
got.
oh, I had that comic. I had that comic.
Oh yeah, I feel that. I've got some of the original Godzilla run from Marvel.
Mm.
Yeah, and
So
I've damaged this one, and I'm kind of upset I damaged this one. It was the last issue of Marvel the Defenders from 1985. It's when the series ended, and it's damaged, and I'm like, ooh.
You know what? Like we didn't know, right? Like I think about all my because I'm also a My Little Pony collector, and I they were my toys as a kid. I've taken every single one of them out of boxes, and now sometimes I'm like, man, if I had known, if I had left my Flutter Pony in her packaging, she would be worth so much, But we were kids, we were having fun with it, whatever.
What's a flutter pony?
Oh, what is Flutter? Oh, my heart. Um, they are a smaller version of a pony with longer legs, with very like pretty little wings that were like see through, and they come and help save the ponies from the smooths in the movie.
Oh, okay. Believe it or not, you were also the first person we've had to talk about My Little Pony
Oh,
with too. So I'm just like, what?
there's a
well,
first time for everything.
I could talk a lot about those, but I will not because that's not what I'm here for.
Okay.
So,
Episode your return. So My Little Pony.
3 hours later, all
I'll
right,
be
Devin, you
like,
caught
here's
up?
all the DVDs you need to watch. Yeah, no,
Lord, I'd be like that SpongeBob meme. I gotta write this down.
yeah.
If it helps, my girlfriend's like, I am really big into Barbie. We're one day going to watch all of the Barbie movies, and I was
Oh,
like,
there's a lot of them.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all the ugly CGI ones. Oh yeah, you're good luck.
Hey, it's a Saturday.
You know what? The newer Life in the Dream House Barbie show they had on Netflix, that was actually
Mhm.
hilarious. My husband and I watched because we have children. We watched it,
Yeah.
right? And it was. I was like, this is actually really catchy writing. Like, I do recommend.
Okay.
Uh, it's okay. You're in a safe space. Me and the dogs watch Bluey or
Yeah.
Aqua
Oh
Teen
my
Hunger
God, love
Force.
Bluey. Yeah,
Yep.
Bluey is reigns supreme in this house. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jesse loves Bluey. That's my niece,
Yeah.
and so we would be like, we would watch it, and then me and my nephew would watch Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah.
okay.
All good
All right.
things.
So who are you siding with, the dark or the light?
Oh, see, this question really depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I would be light side. I would be light side. But I cosplay a lot of dark side characters just for interest and because it's a good way to get rage out sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What character would you play cosplay as from the light side?
I do cosplay Princess Leia. I've been working on a Padme cosplay. I have a few like closet cosplays of Padme because, like, let's be honest, her costumes are very elaborate, and I do not have the time or resources for those. Um, but also, I have a couple OCs that are just like general Jedi.
Oh, speaking of older Star Wars media, do you and your husband and this has been like a weird hyper focus I've had with Star Wars. Do you guys remember Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2?
So I never played any of the video games. Um, I did not have a computer in my house growing up, so I did not play computer games. Um, my boyfriend at the time in college, I believe, played it, and I think it's in the Switch games I just
Yeah.
got, but we haven't tried it yet. So
Oh, you're in for a treat.
yeah,
That's like there's some crazy characters. In fact, speaking of Mandalorian, in the second one, I'm one of those people where it's hard for me to play a video game in order. So
He's not good at video games to begin with.
listen,
it's okay. It's
all
all
right,
right.
this is not like Assassin's Creed or Metal Gear Solid. Devin, you got to be sneaky. Yeah, I'm going in guns
Somehow
blazing.
finds all the pots of hands, knocks them over in the game.
It's okay. I can't jump in games, so I understand. Okay, like it's just
Oh god, what was I? Oh,
games are hard.
I had yeah, I came back. Sorry, I do stand up outside of this, and I
Yeah.
came back late last night, and I started playing Saint Rose 3. It's like GTA, but it's more comical. And you want to talk about a game? I can't jump. I'm with you. I can't jump on that game to save my life. I'm just like doing a
Yeah.
barrel roll every other minute.
Oh my god. My guild used to, it was a joke in my guild that they were going to have to teleport me places if there was a jump involved because I could not, I could not do it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That would be me too. I'd be like, yeah, just teleport me.
Somebody get a warlock in here. I can't do this.
Oh man, let's see. I mean, you guys definitely need to try the newer ones. One I think you would really enjoy is the Force Unleashed ones that came out in
Those look cool.
'08. Those are really good. Have you tried those too?
I have not tried any of them. I have seen them played because I was in college. My boyfriend at the time was always playing games. I have watched him play so many video games. I was the girlfriend that sat there and watched and then like read my book while he played. But I was not until I started playing like Baldur's Gate and EverQuest and World of Warcraft. I did not play video games. So
Oh, Baldur's Gate fan. Okay.
the original, yeah, a long time ago. I still have sometimes that you cannot rest now. You cannot sleep here. I'm like it like echoes in my brain.
Okay. So our next question is, whoops, it'd be helpful if I could remember the question on top
Number
of my head.
5.
You're like, what do I
Uh,
do?
can you tell us about your custom lightsaber?
My custom lightsaber. I don't. Well, if I had one, like if I was going to build one,
Yes.
I don't have a. Okay. Well, I think I would probably end up with a blue kyber crystal.
Ooh.
And I'm pretty much like it's. I'm pretty much a traditionalist, a classic. I really like just the plain hilt. Like a plain silver hilt, nothing super fancy. I also have tiny hands, so it's got to be something little I can hold on to. I was actually just looking at lightsabers to buy one, and my husband was like, "Those are so plain." I'm like, I like it. It's simple, it's classic, it's refined. Like that's all I need. I don't need anything fancy. Just a nice, simple little silver guy. Go do my thing.
Let me ask you this: whose is your favorite lightsaber? Which character's lightsaber do you love?
Um, I think. I mean, I like Ahsoka's her hilt design, but I also think just classic Anakin. I think, I like that one. Yeah.
Okay, from the yeah. I like the behind the scenes story with Samuel Jackson when he's like the only one with purple before it
Oh,
became a
yeah,
staple. He's like, I just wanted to be seen.
yeah, that's fair. In a field of lightsabers, you want to be able to pick yourself out.
And then I personally like I don't know why. Anytime I can customize, I like the orange kyber crystals.
Mm, those are pretty too. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: which kind of lightsaber would you have? Would you do a single? Would you do the two bladed like Dark Moth? Would you do a dual style like Ahsoka?
Probably just single.
Okay.
You know, I don't do well. I can't even like. There's a reason I don't knit. I can't do crafts with two hands. I don't think I would do well with two sabers.
It's okay. I'd be the same way too. I'd be like, just give me a single one. If I had a
Just one.
double one, I feel like I'd drop it.
Yeah.
Devin, no offense, but I know you very well, and after 10 plus years of knowing you, I know for a fact that if you had a lightsaber, you would be going to the ER room so regularly.
Yes, no, I definitely yes, no. There'd be a lot of lightsabers through the foot.
That's fair. I am a big klutz and drop things a lot, so I would also probably not do well with a lightsaber. In truth,
Golly, but little bonus question here: who's been your favorite villain?
my favorite villain. Oh my gosh. So right now, I'm finishing up the Bad Batch because I actually didn't want to finish it because I knew Tech was gonna die, and I was like, I cannot watch. So I finally am finishing
Wait,
it.
really?
Oh my god, just spoil it for you.
Oh, it's okay. I'll forget later.
Like,
He will.
boop. Um, but Hemlock, I want that man to die. So many ways. But he's definitely not my favorite. I just want to see him die. But villain wise, I mean, Vader is always classic, as is the Emperor. But sometimes thinking about how clever some of the villains are, like Dooku was pretty clever too, with this political game and everything. But if we're gonna go to straight up favorite, it would probably just be Vader.
I'm not gonna lie. Have you watched the Tales of the Jedi, the
I
miniseries?
Yes, yes,
I truly think, and this is just my pure opinion, and I feel like once this episode comes out, I'm gonna have a lot of comments. But I feel like Dooku wasn't truly evil. I feel like he was kind of like the in the middle, in a
yeah.
sense. The way, like you said, the way he was political, and I was like, I don't think he was truly that bad.
He was kind of because he's one of those guys. It's like what he's saying makes sense, right? It just
Yeah.
depends on where you're coming from, and so that's where like the idea of the gray Jedi comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and because there are times where it's like, no, he's absolutely right in what he's saying and what's going on, but the way he's going about it and the people he's working with are what makes him evil, right? So it's this weird thing in the middle there, you know.
I've got a weird question.
Okay.
So, you have kids. Have
Yeah.
you watched the Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures?
We have watched some of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
Because
is
it,
it?
yeah.
It's super adorable. Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my niece and nephew are too old for it, but at the same time, I'm like, I am curious what's going on here.
It was cute. It was a really cute little adventure. I think we've watched like half of the first season with my son. He really likes Nubs. Nubs is super adorable.
Oh, the
Good
blue
lessons.
one?
The
Yeah, is
blue
it the
one, yeah.
blue one?
The
Okay.
blue little alien. Good lessons on how to work together. They're very simple, but I mean, he's 8 and he's still enjoying it. Like it's a little bit blown, but he's still getting something out of it. Like, it's like, hey, sometimes we have to ask our friends for help. Here's how we work together, like, and things like that. And just cute little
Okay.
lessons. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember before that show came out, they're like, "How the show's gonna end?" And you just see Anakin pull out his lightsaber. I'm like, "Y'all are evil." Jesus.
I'm like, we should not laugh about those jokes, and especially as a parent, but at the same time, they're funny. So maybe I'm
Yeah.
a bad person. I don't know.
No, it doesn't make you a bad person. It just make we're all Star Wars fans here, so we're
We're
like,
all,
Jesus.
yeah.
Just like my other favorite one is like, Master, you have a fascination with Mandalorians. They have the high ground.
Oh,
Although I am convinced, I came across a theory the other day, is that Obi-Wan Kenobi and the princess from the Mandalorian. I don't think she's a princess, but I guess she was a
Duchess.
princess from the Mandalorians. I am convinced they had a secret son.
Oh, him and Satine. Yes, that is a common fan theory.
I could see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what was another crazy villain? Was General Grievous, even though I don't understand his origin story. If there is one.
There is. He's
Yeah.
a reptile. I'm sorry. I just like
No, you're
nerded
okay.
out. He is a reptile humanoid, and like Jedi were being like oppressing his people, and so the Sith came to him like, "Hey, we can help you," because he's not force sensitive, but he's very close to it, and so that's where he comes into play with like killing Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know I remember back in 2006 when because we were little kids during the prequels as well, but I remember going into episode 3 because back then, right, we didn't have Clone Wars,
No.
and you see a reptile, he's like General Kenobi, like it's like, dude, what and who is this? You
I
know what I mean?
Yeah.
request that sound bite, by the way.
That's fine. It's okay if I run this through Opus Clip. Opus Clip's gonna be like breathing hard. Oh, yep, posting this on the internet later.
Ooh.
But it's just like I don't know. I just remember the prequels, and 3 was such a masterpiece, in my opinion.
They were all excellent. And as someone who was a grown up during that time, because people now are all like, nobody hated on George. I'm like, oh, people hated on George. Like nobody was happy. But at the same time, it was weird because in my groups, all of us enjoyed it. All the
Mm,
people in the theater I was with enjoyed it. So it was always like, who are these people who are so angry that they're writing into newspapers about these movies? Um, but as fans, I know we get kind of locked into, and this is sometimes the problem. We think you own it, but we
mm,
don't, right? Like we are consuming it, but we don't own that space, and we're just playing in George's universe, and this is what he gave us. And so I have always taken it and been like, this is what they're giving us. I'm going to enjoy it. Do I always love all of it? No, but I am just glad to have more Star Wars, right? Like, so that's my spin on it all. But I enjoyed the prequels, um, and uh, and we saw them in the theater. I don't know how many times we went back.
it's okay. My dad, growing up, was a Star Wars fan. He and my uncle were, and I just remember because he watched obviously once the prequels ran out of theater, and you know how TV is. He would watch them on TV. So when the third one was coming out, we came out of theater. I remember this is a core memory. My dad goes, "Huh, I didn't see that coming." And he's like, man, and he was just so distraught that whole day. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there at like, let's see, 2006. We are about what, seven
Oh my
or
God,
eight
you're
years
babies.
old.
You're babies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, so that's how Darth Vader was born.
Yeah. It's.
Uh,
I mean, seeing the prequels let us really see that it really is Anakin's story, right?
yeah,
And
I
that was
agree.
like, yeah, and brought it all together. And I mean, George has always said, was always very adamant about the fact that the only thing that was canon was his movies, even though he let like the extended universe exist or whatever. Um, and we all thought of it as canon. It never was.
Mm,
Um, by his words, he is the creator. So, um, but they had a lot of great stories, and And the movies definitely had a huge impact in my life and in the people that I knew. All my friends, we were huge nerds. Like it was. I remember when I first moved out with my boyfriend at the time after high school. We decorated our entire basement suite we had. It was like Star Wars posters and Star Wars Lego, and it was like we are such nerds.
Oh God, Star Wars Legos. Listen, the Star Wars Lego minifigures. I don't know if your kids play with Legos, the Star Wars Lego sets. Do not let them destroy the minifigures. Do not.
My kid has developed the collecting gene from both mom and dad, so he puts
Oh,
his Legos together and then he puts them on the shelf.
okay. Trust me, some of the Dark Vader ones and the Obi-Wan ones from the when the prequels were in theaters,
Hmm.
brand new, out the
Crazy.
pack. It's ridiculous, and I'm like, oh, I'm dying on the inside.
You're like, I melted that one. It's
Yeah, you played that one in the Georgia Red. Well, we have Georgia Red Dirt down here,
Clay.
yeah,
color,
yeah. My
and
Yeah, they get trashed. My husband still has all of his Star Wars toys from the 70s. They're at
mhm.
my mother-in-law's, and she brings them out, and the kids all play with them. They are so beat up, but I'm like, oh look, there's like I open up this whole set. And it's like every single one of them. And it's got like the fabric capes and everything, and I'm like, oh, cool. Let's not think about how much these would have been worth, but it is what it is.
Oh man. What do you think about the sequels, real fast?
Okay, so no, this is a hot topic. I enjoyed them. I did not necessarily love them. They're not like in my top five, but I still enjoyed them for what they were.
Hmm.
Um, I think too, after they came out, after we watched them, there were things where I was like, it's really weird that the story changed so much that they went back and forth. And I was reading the like the art book, which talks about behind the scenes stuff, and I felt a little better because they were talking about how when The Force Awakens came out and they had started filming the next one, it hadn't even been they hadn't finished post production. So they didn't even know what the finished film looked like and they were already moving on to a new one with a different director, a different like and so I'm like that's where some of that chaos comes in. I think it's just they didn't plan that part out. And they admit that. They admit that.
Oh,
The story could have been better, but I still like what we got. So like I'm still happy with it. I wish certain things had been done a little differently like most people, but overall I watched them and I enjoyed them. So
okay.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that she was a Palpatine came out of left field because I'm like, what?
Yep.
well,
Uh,
I don't
Wait,
there
she's
were
a
so many things.
Palpatine, Devin?
Listen, you know she's a Palpatine. Come on,
I've never seen a Star Wars in my life.
you stop lying.
I there were so many fan theories about what Rey and Kylo were going to be
Hmm.
and everything and having Palpatine come back was a whole thing.
Choice.
It was a choice. It was a
It
thing
was. Well, I have
that
questions because I'm like, his body, even, okay. So, even, we all know how the original ends. He gets thrown over the Death Star, right?
yeah, yeah.
And, okay, he could survive that, but there is no way old buddy
He
got up,
survived that long.
yeah, got up and survived long, got out of the Death Star long enough for it to blow up.
So there are theories. There are theories. And watching Bad Batch, I'm like, okay, you can see like some stuff that they're trying to like show was planning or whatever for things like
Mm,
that. Um, but I don't know. And I feel like I want to read the novelizations because
mm,
often there's a whole bunch of stuff that gets cut in the movies. And I have heard that the novelizations explain a lot of stuff a little better. Um, so that is on my list to do to see what maybe was filmed and then got cut for time or whatever. That because there were some things where I was like, wait, what just happened? Like we're missing something here. Um, so we'll see what they say and if they help clear anything up. But
okay. Have
yeah,
you read the Ahsoka book? The
the one
Ahsoka
with
book does pretty
Ahsoka.
good.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, that one
Is
does
it
pretty good.
is that one? Is that by Claudia Gray? I can't remember.
Yes, it
Yes.
explains how she got her white lightsabers and where she
Yeah.
was before she joined the rebels and rebels. It's done
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. Anything by Claudia Gray, I always love. Like her writing amazing. I do recommend her Princess Leia books as well, the Bloodlines and the Princess Leia of Alderaan book. If you haven't read those,
My wife has them.
yeah, they're good.
Actually, did she finish reading? My wife's bought them when she was hyper focused on Star Wars, but I don't know if she's read them because we
Okay.
enjoy it. I was reading the book, the Ahsoka book, and doing the audio book at the same time when we were driving. I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Bloodlines is great because it explains how the First Order came to power, right?
Hmm.
Like it's also very relevant for current politics, as it talked about how old remnants of the old empire infiltrated the Senate and it became what it became. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right. So sorry getting off topic, but
that's okay.
if you could visit any planet in Star Wars, which planet would you visit?
I would probably go to Coruscant just because it's like the main one, and there would be so much randomness and chaos there. Like there are so many different things, like on all those levels. Like that planet is so huge. Like go to 79s, go all the way down, all the levels to all the different things, see everything. It would be amazing. See the Jedi temples.
Why does nobody want to go visit Hoth, Kyle? No one has said Hoth yet. I'm a little
Because I
disappointed.
live in Hoth pretty much half the time. It feels like I don't need to
Uh,
go there. I'm good.
No one wants to visit my favorite planet in the whole series, Hoth.
I'm gonna hold you
Have,
to that. I hope you
have
know
you
that.
lived somewhere cold before, sir? Like,
Here's the
I kn-
funny thing about Devin. He doesn't normally wear pants. It's normally just shorts.
oh, he's one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
listen, Hoth was a smart planet choice for him to hide out. But here's my
It
thing. I'm
was.
like,
Yeah.
how do they find him so fast? And I'm like, huh. I'll tell you what planet I wouldn't visit, and just because it's always a level in the video game is Genosha with those bugs.
Oh, no. No, thank you. No bugs. I mean, Naboo would be pretty too. I am not a fan of super hot, so I don't think I'd ever go to Tatooine. Um, yeah. I like my mid temperatures. I like tourist attractions. So
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Alrighty. How did you come up with your original character? Correct me if I'm saying this wrong. Twi'lek cosplay.
Twi'lek. Oh, my Twi'lek. Um, I just sorry, someone's coming down here to see me. Um, so Twi'leks are big in Star Wars lore. Most beautiful people, often dancers. We see them in Jabba's palace and saw more of them in Book of Boba Fett. Um, I am a lazy cosplayer, and I did not want to paint myself blue. so that's why I made my Laku out of like my skin tone because then I don't do anything with it. Um, and then as I started putting her together, same with any character, really, the character creation. I just started being like, okay, what would I do if I lived in Star Wars? Who would I be? And so she's a dancer and works in a club, kind of like dance mom, I guess, of the dancers. And just started having fun with her and started finding audios that kind of inspired me to be like, yeah, this would fit how I would think she would be. And that's just sort of how I slowly built her bit by bit.
Okay.
Okay. What are some other characters you would want to cosplay as?
Um, I would like to do Senator Chuchi, and that she is on my list to work on this year, which I'm going to have to get over the painting myself blue thing, apparently, to do that. And I also want to do a Mandalorian, so that's why I started the Mandalorian armor, and I'm going to work on that. Um, and I just kind of I am a mood cosplayer. So sometimes I'll be like, I'll just see a character. I'm like, I like that outfit, so I'm gonna cosplay them without knowing anything about them, and then I
Hmm.
just go for it. Yeah,
Okay.
Who? I don't know the first character you said.
Senator
Who is?
Chuchi.
Yeah, who?
She's in the Clone Wars. She's got blue skin and little gold marks here, and she's got like purple hair. And then she always usually wears like a poncho.
Poncho, Clone Wars.
Yeah.
blue skin.
She's,
I
she's
like how
also
I.
in the Bad Batch too.
This is something I'm gonna probably end up looking up later.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, oh my god, you're describing her, and I'm gonna be sitting at the house later. I'm like, I'm drawing a blank, and then I'm gonna be like, oh my god, this character.
Yeah. She's super cute, got big eyes and like light purple hair that's like in this thing with little gold dangly things off of it.
Wait a minute. Was she? No, in the Bad Batch. No, she wasn't the mom in the Bad Batch where the one clone trooper was the farmer. I've watched the
No,
first
no.
season of Bad Batch. Okay. See, she
I'm
was.
sorry again for spoiling it for you.
Oh, man, it's okay. I've been stuck on
You have a
season 2 for
really
the.
bad memory.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll get so
Okay.
distracted. Well, here's the thing. Bad
I
Batch.
think she's in season 2. I think it's in season 2 that she shows up.
Well,
I
listen,
can't
I'm not
remember.
gonna lie to you, and this is just my hot take. I feel like this is gonna
Okay.
give me some hot water, but first season of Bad Batch, perfect, right?
Hmm.
It does a pretty good job of showing what happened, World War 66, what happened with them. Because again, when
Yep.
Star Wars got revived for, was it 2 seasons or that one season when Disney Plus revived it? Was it just the one?
Is she
I
the
can't
one with
remember.
like the beige dress?
Beige? No, she wears like a dark purpley maroon dress. Like it's a reddy purple.
Uh-huh.
This is going to bother him. He's trying to figure it out. He's like,
So I need to Google her on my phone for you. Let me
well,
pull
the
it up
sad
again.
part is I'm also thinking, I'm like, I watched Clone Wars.
You're like, who is? Uh,
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I knew I was going to feel bad. I was like, I know who this is. Yep. I remember her now.
okay.
Okay.
Because was she on Camino during the Bad Batch at the beginning?
I I can't remember. Maybe she comes there as a senator or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. Now I remember. This Clone Wars was so good about introducing so many unique characters, and I kind of wish. I know we're backtracking to the prequels. One thing that's always been my pet peeve is we call it Attack of the Clone Wars and the Clone War starts, but we
Hmm.
never really get to see a Clone War, right?
Yeah.
Because it goes 2, and this is like boom, here's episode 3,
Yeah.
and it's just like no war, because obviously it's like
It's all
hey,
in her head.
yeah. Well, also too, and then you're like us. It's like when we were growing up, we're like, how did the Chancellor get captured? And if you watch now it's called the Star Wars Vintage, right? It was the Clone Wars cartoon, those mini
Hmm.
movies that came out,
Yeah.
shows what happened, and I'm like, I consider those canon, in my opinion, because it shows what happened to, well, at least the second one now, because it shows how Palpatine got captured.
Right. Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. In my head, everything's canon. I don't care.
Well, and here's another thing
I
too, and
love it
this is
all.
all.
I don't care.
So here's my thing too, and this has always been my problem with Ahsoka, right? So in Star Wars Episode 3, right, we all know that Anakin wanted to be on the council, right?
Hmm.
Given the grant. No, he was on the council, right?
But he
Everybody
wasn't given
correct
the rank
me.
master. Yeah.
It-
He was on the
Yeah.
no.
council.
Yeah.
Okay. He wanted the rank of master, right? But here's the thing. They wouldn't give him the rank, but they gave him Ahsoka. They're like, hey,
I know.
go take care of this.
It it's it's a whole power play thing, I think. You know. And people get mad about the High Republic and talking about like seeing the Jedi be bad or whatever. I'm like they're people, right? We all make mistakes. And when you think you know best doesn't always mean you do. And sometimes you do stuff that's not in the best interests, right? That's what happens.
That's just my whole thing. I'm like, he wanted to be master, but then you
Yeah,
give him a Padawan, and she calls him Master Sky Guy, and I'm like,
I know.
this is
It's a
gonna
whole
hurt.
thing. It's a whole thing. It's like why is he good enough for that but not good enough for that? Yeah, and it just feeds into more of his anger and all that jazz. So
I'm not gonna lie. The saddest thing, two of the saddest things to me was when she had to fight Vader in Republic, and in Rebels,
hmm.
and then in Kenobi near the end, you know, Kyle, you did finish Kenobi, right? Okay, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
we've all got to be careful. We're like, wait, do we all know what happens here?
Well, I like one. Kenobi had the best fight sequences to me for a miniseries. That's just my opinion. And it's like, when he meets Vader and he's like, Anakin, come back. And he's like, Anakin's dead because, he
Hmm.
burns off his helmet. It's so good. And I'm like, oof.
that I cried at that point. The lighting, everything, it was perfection. It was beautiful. Um, yeah, a lot of feels.
I'm ready for season 2.
I don't think we're gonna get one, unfortunately.
Oh,
No.
let me dream.
We will all dream. We're all gonna dream. Yes.
See, Devin, the crazy thing is, I know how your memory works, so I don't remember what you remember. I really don't know what you remember. So a lot of this we've talked about, like extensively over the phone.
Let me dream. Let me
All
dream. Liam Neeson came back as a Force ghost, and they're going into the canyon. Let me dream.
right, I love it. Perfect. Hope
Uh,
it happens.
although I
So
haven't watched Skeleton Crew yet.
I haven't watched
I
that yet.
haven't I haven't finished it. I've watched about half of it. It's really
How?
good.
Okay, non-spoiler. How is it? Is it worth the watch?
It is worth the watch. It's I mean, it's obviously meant for a younger generation. So, it's got kids in it, which some people just hated, but I was like, whatever, like kids exist. But it's been fun. It's been a fun adventure so far. I have enjoyed it. I think we're about halfway through. And yeah, it's been really good. My husband and I are watching it and we both love it. So, it's definitely so the directors of it are like movie directors, and so sometimes you can tell the difference between like who's directed big epic movies and who's like a TV director, it feels like. And so it definitely has some of that big cinematic feel to it to me.
Well, I feel like Star Wars has always had a big movie, like for their TV shows. I always felt they have a good
They
quality
do,
of cinema.
but like there's just like something about this, like it's like I don't know. I don't know if it's like the lighting or like, I don't know, something. I'm like, wow, this is crisp. This is good. Like, so
All right, Kyle, you can go over the next question.
Oh, you're ready for me to ask the question?
you're like back on the questions.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing you've made for a cosplay?
My favorite thing. Hmm. So I before cosplay, I was in something called the SCA, which is the Society for Creative Anachronisms. It's a medieval recreation society, and so in my 20s, I was very active in that. And so some of the garb I made for those events, I really loved, like some really beautiful, very luxurious medieval gowns. Um, and so those are my favorites. Recently, I am I am currently working on a blue Twi'lek, even though I said I didn't want to do blue. um, and I'm really happy with how the headpiece is coming out so far. It's not done yet, and so I'm pretty happy with that. Otherwise, I don't know if I could pick something in particular.
Okay. So, what cosplay advice would you give to someone starting out that you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Um, it's it's okay to make mistakes. Like, do not cry. I know it's hard to cut that expensive fabric and then realize that you've made a boo boo. It's usually fixable. And also that it's absolutely okay that you don't have all the fancy tools. Because right now there's like this big push, like that you need to have a 3D printer, you need to have a Cricut, you need to have an embroidery machine. I did all this stuff before any of that. It's just sometimes you have to be a little more creative, and sometimes you have to think outside the box. So it's all possible. You just
Okay.
gotta figure it out.
Okay. Um. Well, Whimsy, that's all the questions we got. Where can the people at home find you?
They can find me on TikTok at Moon Whimsy or on IG as Moon.Whimsy. I'm also on Blue Sky, and I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't really use it. So
Okay. And as always, guys, you can check me out on my podcast, the More Sports Podcast for everybody. And then, of course, we have our movie review podcast, Popcorn Buckets, where we review a movie every Sunday. And hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Random Incorporated, where you can watch the video version of this episode along with with every other guest we brought on earlier this year and last year. It's been fun. And hey, you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at Rando Bucket Boys, and hey, we're on Twitter as Rando Corporate One. Whimsy, you have any last words?
Just thanks for having me. This was fun, and look forward to seeing what else you guys do.
Okay.
All right.